Welcome to episode 52 of the AMT podcast. Hope you're having a good week as always. Remember, these days I'm posting a lot more content via my premium newsletter on Substack. Crypto trades, value bets, event previews, video tutorials, and exclusive interviews. I have another guest coming on the podcast in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm also hosting a live Q&A at the end of the month where you can ask me anything. So if you want to be part of all that, join my newsletter. I'll leave the link in the description below. In this episode, I want to talk about why you have to ignore most people. Now, that can probably be taken out of context, but if you humor me for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll explain exactly what I mean and how it relates to trading. Now and again, when I'm stuck on a topic, whether it's regards to strategy discussion or where to source data or anything in between, if I can't get an answer from someone I know, sometimes I'll snoop around the forums where other traders bounce ideas off one another. And if you've done this long enough, you'll find that most of your questions have been asked and answered. There's always someone out there who's experienced the same, or if not very similar problems that you have. And most of the time, other traders are more than happy to have their say and help you out. But having snooped around forums several times now, you'll find that literally on every single thread, there's a slew of negative people who just use the forums to just vent or get things off their chest. They're almost always unprofitable traders. Now, I have no problem with people who are unprofitable because we all start that way. And if that's you, you also probably have a lot of questions. And like I said, they've nearly always been answered. So if you're genuinely seeking answers and, if you want to figure things out, the fastest way to get answers is from people who've been there and done it. And like I said, there's always a trader who's willing to give his 2 cents. So if that's you, that's fine. But there's an awful lot of pessimists out there who haven't figured things out. And instead of trying to approach forums and threads with a curious and open mind, they're there to just vent, troll, and just tear down others. If you're new to trading and you read these forums, you'd probably be convinced that trading is impossible. It's such a negative and toxic space for the most part. People challenge and question everything, every strategy, every P&L screenshot, every market. Even some of the most respected people in the industry have been slandered viciously by trolls and losers. Now, the online community has a very keen eye for spotting fraudsters, which is a good thing, and it's important those people are weeded out. But there's a big difference between rightfully exposing a scammer and witch hunting anyone just for doing well. So it's clear to me that there's a lot of jealous people online. There's traders out there who I've looked up to and whose content has helped me, and they've been vilified, whether it's their course content, the price point, or even the legitimacy of their results. There's this stigma in trading circles which doesn't exist anywhere else, where you're not allowed to charge for information, because if you're making money from trading, why would you want to help people? This is such a silly point of view, and I'm not going to insult you by even dignifying that with the response. But the long and short of it is, if you post content online, you're basically making yourself a target, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. I've even been attacked online now and again, and if you know anything about me, I always take the low road and give it right back. But the point I'm making is, if you're going to allow yourself to be swayed by losers who by their nature are pessimistic and are always looking to poke holes in anything that can be perceived as legitimate, then that's going to be your reality. You'll be convinced that trading is not possible, or it's a scam and there's no way it can work. No matter what body of work you present to a pessimist, they've already made up their mind and they want you to be in the same boat as them. There's nothing that triggers a pessimist more than seeing a newbie make it. The reality is that trading for a living is improbable but not impossible. And that goes for any worthwhile endeavor. If I told someone to do A and B, they're going to make money. When you understand the fundamentals that influence price, and when you understand how human nature and herd instinct moves prices, it's not difficult to forecast to a good degree of accuracy which way the price is going to move. The main problems that losing traders have lies with either misplaced expectations, greed, and inconsistent staking. And this is the hardest part to overcome, because trading forces you to think very differently about money as opposed to a linear hourly wage. And most people give up because it can be an expensive hobby if you're not making it work for yourself. And there's only so much time you have to get it right. I've said many times now that I've been very lucky because I had time to figure things out. I may not have needed as much time if I was smarter with my approach, or if I had a mentor to show me how to do it properly. But I fundamentally believed that this was going to work out for me one way or another. And I loved it. I loved waking up every day and watching different sports and watching how the odds reacted to what was happening and whether or not I could identify patterns to exploit. I tried doing the same with stocks and currencies, but to me it was just so boring. At least with sport, you get to enjoy watching the action and make money from it. And I knew of one person doing it successfully at the time, but nobody else had a clue what Betfair trading was. They essentially thought I was taking a really big risk and that it wouldn't work and it was a waste of my time. And when you weigh everything up, they weren't exactly wrong about their concerns. It was a big risk to pursue this thing, which is very niche. Nobody knows or understands it. It's not a taxable income. It's not going to build up my credit, and it's potentially subject to changing laws and regulations as we're seeing today. So these concerns, which were rightful at the time, were only put to me by friends and family who love and care about me. And this brings me to the second group of people that you probably are going to have to ignore. Nobody wants to see someone they care about fail or get hurt. And I get that. But I knew in my heart that I couldn't work in an office environment, at a job I'm not passionate about, for people I don't like, and at hours not determined by myself. And given that I had youth on my side and I was living at home and I had no bills, it felt like the risk was worth the reward. So I had to ignore everybody and just take advantage of my lucky situation so that I could give this thing a real go. Anything that's worth having is going to be fraught with risk in order to get there. The numbers that are typically thrown around are anywhere between 1 and 20% of traders who are able to successfully make money consistently. So the odds are not stacked in your favor. But you can set yourself up for success by not just working hard, but taking risks and embracing failure. Failure is almost inevitable. Rarely does anyone ever hit the ground running and cruise through trading. You're going to mess up a lot, but most people's threshold for stress and pain is very low. And that's fine, because it's not for everybody. But anyone who tells you not to do it because it's impossible, or you have to get very lucky, and not to trust anyone who's making good money or teaching others, they just don't want to see you win, because you winning reminds them of what a loser they are. And at the end of the day, those losers are your liquidity. Trading is a zero-sum game. In order for you to win, you have to take money from others who are betting the wrong way. Now, listening to people who didn't achieve their goals can often be insightful, providing that person can reflect intelligently on what they did wrong or what they missed out on. But listening to someone who doesn't want you to succeed is someone you should just flat out ignore. And the second set of people that you will likely have to ignore, as I said, are friends and family. People who have a vested interest in you. Like I said, these are people who love and care about you, who don't want to see you get hurt and fail. But failure is often necessary and a perfectly healthy experience to go through, because it can teach you important things and ultimately make you harder and stronger and set you up for success. And it will be tough for those around you, watching you suffer and mess up over and over again. But remember, there are men out there who've achieved far more improbable things than being successful at trading. So you're going to have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, or even years. When I lost multiple 5 figures in crypto in 2021 within the space of 2 months, looking back, I'd probably say I've only just about fully recovered from it, in the last few months. So it's taken me, almost 3 years. That's how bad it was. But it's those bad times, those big screw-ups that bring to light the bad, lazy, toxic habits that you had. So the bigger the disaster, the bigger the opportunity to reveal to yourself who you are and make the changes needed so that you will never make them again. When youth is on your side, it's better that you fuck up early and not in your 50s when you have a mortgage and hungry mouths to feed. I never would have went through what I went through had I played it safe and listened to others. But the pain of regret later in life would outweigh the pain of failure from taking the risks that I should have. And because of what I went through, I now not only have the toughness, but the wisdom to never ever do that again. Nobody should aim for a tough life. It's silly for anyone to choose suffering. But the reality is that when you have a clear idea about what you want, if the journey means taking the road less traveled, then you will be lonely. You won't get much support or understanding. You will fail and you will have to iterate many times over in a race against time in order to get it right. But that's often the price for chasing your dreams or doing anything worthwhile. Cut out the people that don't want you to win, and just be mindful of the people that do care about you. The best thing you can do is at least seek advice or help from people doing what you want or have what you want. Drop your ego, listen and take on board any advice you can get, even if you have to pay for it. Recently, I saw on a forum a thread about trading courses, and a few people were making a case for how any course is an absolute waste of money, because the real challenge lies in figuring it out alone. Now, I speak as someone who did figure it out alone for the most part, and I can tell you this is the stupidest mindset you can have. Remember what I said about unnecessary suffering? There is no glory in working like a donkey when you don't need to, and that's a shining example of what you shouldn't do. And in the last podcast episode, I explained how much time I wasted doing just that. Trading burns a lot of mental energy, and I can tell you now that you should look to hit your goals as quickly and efficiently as possible and take advantage of any convenient shortcut that will get you there sooner. Why would you want to delay making money? The whole idea behind investing in specialist expertise is to generate greater returns quickly. There's a lot of useful information out there, free and paid. I have my own resources, as many of you know. So whoever you are and whatever it is you want to learn, whether it's trading or any other skill, seek advice from those who can help you as fast as possible. So that's my 2 cents when it comes to taking advice from people. One, you have to be able to understand that person's perspective, because if you can do that, then you can understand their intentions. Is this person advising me because they love and care about me, or are they fearful of me succeeding? Has this person attempted or succeeded in this line of work? Do they have wisdom to share, or should I take what they're saying with a pinch of salt? So when you understand people, you can then begin to seek advice or counsel more intelligently. So hopefully I've given you something to think about. Subscribe, like, and share where possible. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.